The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, Words to Know. Shift a loose undergarment. Elegant, very fancy. These dolls are elegant. Constellation, a group of stars forming a recognizable pattern. Errands, a short trip to pick up or drop something off. Well, hello. I'm glad you've joined me again for another couple chapters in the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane. Yesterday, Edward got very lucky and was pulled from the bottom of the ocean in a fisherman's net. And then he was brought home with that fisherman. The fisherman gave Edward to his wife. She was very excited to find Edward. So let's see what happens next. Here we go. Chapter 9. And so, Edward Tulane became Susanna. Nellie sewed several outfits for him. A pink dress with ruffles for special occasions, a simple shift fashioned out of a flower-colored cloth for everyday use, and a long white gown made of cotton for Edward to sleep in. In addition, she remade his ears, stripping them of the few pieces of fur that remained and designing him a new pair. "Oh," she told him when she was done, "you look lovely." He was horrified at first. He was, after all, a boy rabbit. He did not want to be dressed as a girl, and the outfits, even the special occasion dresses, were just so simple and so plain. They lacked the elegance and artistry of his real clothes. But then Edward remembered, lying on the ocean floor, the muck in his face, the stars so very far away. And he said to himself, what difference does it make, really? Wearing a dress will not hurt me. Besides, life in the little green house with the fisherman and his wife was really sweet. Nellie loved to bake, and so she spent her day in the kitchen. She put Edward up on the counter and leaned him up against the flour canister, and then she arranged his dress around his knees. She bent his ears so that he could hear well, and then she would set to work, kneading dough for bread, rolling out dough for cookies and pies. The kitchen soon filled with the smell of baking bread and with the sweet smells of cinnamon, sugar, and cloves. The windows steamed all up, and while Nellie worked, she talked. She told Edward all about her children, her daughter Lolly, who was a secretary, and her boys, Ralph, who was in the army, and Raymond. Raymond had died of pneumonia when he was only 5 years old. "It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's the worst thing to watch somebody you love die right in front of you and not be able to do nothing about it. I dream about him most nights." Nellie wiped her tears with the back of her hand, and then she smiled at Edwards. "I suppose you think I'm silly talking to a toy, but it seems to me like you're really listening, Susanna." And Edward was surprised to discover that he was really listening. Before, when Abilene would talk to him, everything had seemed boring and pointless. But now the stories that Nellie told struck him as the most important thing in the world, and he listened like his life depended on everything she said. It made him wonder if some of the muck from the ocean floor had gotten inside of his china head and damaged him somehow. In the evening, Lawrence would come home from the ocean, and then there would be dinner, and Edward sat at the table with the fisherman and his wife. He sat in an old wooden high chair, and while at first he was very upset, a high chair, after all, was a chair designed for babies, not elegant rabbits, he soon became used to it, though. He liked being up high, looking out over the table instead of staring at the tablecloth like he had in the Tulane household. He liked feeling like he was a part of things. Every night after dinner, Lawrence said that he thought he would go out and get some fresh air, and that maybe Susanna should like to come with him. He placed Edward on his shoulder, like he had that first night when he walked him through town, bringing him home to Nellie. They went outside, and Lawrence lit his pipe and held Edward up on his shoulder, and if the night was clear, Lawrence would say the names of all the constellations one at a time. Andromeda, Pegasus, pointing at them with the stem of his pipe. Edward loved looking up at the stars, and he loved the sound of the constellation names. They were sweet to his ears. Sometimes, though, staring up at the sky, Edward remembered Pellegrina, saw again her dark and glowing eyes, and a chill would go through him. Warthogs, he would think. Witches. But Nellie, before she put him to bed, every night would sing Edward a lullaby, a song about a mockingbird that did not sing, and a diamond ring that would not shine. And the sound of Nellie's voice soothed the rabbit, and he forgot all about Pellegrina. Life, for a very long time, was sweet. And then Lawrence and Nellie's daughter came for a visit. Chapter 10. Lolly was a lumpy woman who spoke too loudly and who wore way too much lipstick. She entered the house and immediately spotted Edward sitting on the living room couch. "What is this?" she said. She put down her suitcase and picked up Edward by one foot, and then she held him upside down. "Oh, that's Susanna," said Nellie. "Susanna!" shouted Lolly. She gave Edward a good shake. His dress was up over his head. He couldn't see anything. Already he had formed a deep and abiding hatred for Lolly. "Yes, your father found her," said Nellie, "and she came up in the net, and she didn't have no clothes on her, so I made her dresses." "What? Have you gone crazy?" shouted Lolly. "Rabbits don't need clothes." "Well," said Nellie. Her voice started to shake. "This one seemed to." Lolly tossed Edward back on the couch, and he landed face down with his arms over his head and his dress over his face, and he stayed that way all through dinner. "Why have you got out this old high chair?" shouted Lolly. "Oh, don't you pay that no mind," said Nellie. "Your father was gluing on a missing piece, wasn't you, Lawrence?" "Yeah, that's right," said Lawrence. He didn't even look up from his plate. Of course, after dinner, Edward did not go outside and stand beneath the stars with Lawrence. And Nellie, for the first time since Edward had been with her, did not sing him a lullaby. In fact, Edward was ignored and forgotten about until the next morning when Lolly picked him up and pulled his dress down away from his face and stared at him right in the eyes. "You got my old folks bewitched, don't you?" said Lolly. "I heard people talking in town. They say my folks have been treating you like a little rabbit child." Edward just stared back at Lolly. Her lipstick was a bright bloody red. He felt a cold breeze blow through the room. Was there a window open? "Well, you don't fool me," she said. She gave him a shake. "Yeah, we're gonna take a trip together, you and me." Holding Edward by the ears, Lolly marched into the kitchen, and she shoved Edward face down into the garbage can. "Hey, Ma!" Lolly shouted. "I'm taking the truck. I got some errands to do." "Oh," came Nellie's voice. "That's wonderful, dear. Goodbye, then." "Goodbye," thought Edward as Lolly hauled the garbage can out to the truck. "Goodbye," Nellie called again, a little louder this time. Edward felt a sharp pain somewhere inside of his china chest. For the first time, his heart called out to him, and it said two words: "Nellie, Lawrence." And that's the end of chapter 10. What is happening? Oh, think about it. What is going on here? Edward's heart called out to him for the first time, and it said Nellie and Lawrence's names. What do you think's happening to our friend Edward? Please message me on Seesaw and let me know. Thank you for listening. I'll be back Monday with the next couple of chapters in the Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.